For the past couple of years, Google has regularly started April 1st with an April Fool's joke. And they've generally done it by unveiling a false piece of technology. I think their first attempt was to converge Google Maps with the video game Pac-Man so that you could actually play Pac-Man on the streets of your neighborhood or hometown. They came up with a Google Chrome version which had a self-browsing browser, which makes no logical sense, but for some people who are addicted to browsing, I guess like cruise control or autopilot, a self-browsing browser makes some sense. Well, this month, I think they had their most creative false product when they came out with Google Knows Beta. And what Google Knows Beta claimed to do was, we have given you photo and video, we've given you audio, and now Google can give you scent over your computer. They had a hysterical video, and it began with the project manager who said, well, you know, photo, auditory, sensory, and olfactory convergence have long been a goal of science fiction, and today they are here. Then they cut to the techie who explained how it happened. And the techie just used some sci-fi language and said, by taking photons and infrared rays and temporarily rearranging the molecules, we can affect actual smells. And then they went to the product manager who decided to play on the pun Knows with NOSE. And so the product manager is saying in the video, do you want to know what a wet dog smells like? Google knows. Want to know what your grade school home smelled like? Google knows. Want to know what the fresh sea of Malibu smells like? Google knows. And while it is preposterous to think that our computer could recreate the streets of Paris or Rome or Dar es Salaam, in a sense, we all would love something that could recreate familiar smells. Do you have a memory of a really bad smell that actually warms your heart? When we were kids, we would often travel and stay at Holiday Inns and Howard Johnson's. And this was back before the age when they had no smoking rooms and smoking rooms. So everyone smoked wherever he or she liked. And so when we'd stay in those hotels and turn up the air conditioning was filled with the smell of cigarette smoke. That was my memory of vacation. So a few years ago, we turned on an air conditioner that reeked of an ashtray, and everyone said, disgusting. And I said, I love that smell. It reminds me of vacation. So we understand the olfactory power of our sense of smell. Sense can give us a memory and an affective connection to the past that no other sense can give. Very interesting, because in March of 2013, barely a month into his papacy, Pope Francis was preaching at St. Peter's on Holy Thursday. And the event was the Chrism Mass. And basically he had all the clergy of Rome and then the people who could fit in the basilica. And they were blessing the oils that are used throughout the church year. And it's also a time when priests renew their vows. And so he had a very powerful line to the priests, which gives us a new perspective on this very familiar gospel. He said, a good shepherd knows the smell of his sheep. Think about that. The shepherd knows the smell of the sheep, because the smell of the sheep is not always warm, it's not always fuzzy, it's not always perfume-like, it's not the smell we necessarily want to purchase, but it is often the smell that makes us feel most at home. When the shepherd knows the smell of the sheep, the shepherd lives with the sheep, eats with the sheep, is by their hospital bed when they're sick, is at the grave when they die, takes on all the smells that shows I am one with you. And so when we think of this very, very familiar sensation and we apply it to this gospel, we see the power of what it means to be a good shepherd. And it's interesting how the shows that are going to be awarded at the documentary, the television series, and the movie that are going to be awarded at this event help us to gain a perspective on the smell of the sheep. You know, there's a line that says, dying is easy, it's the living that is hard, and that is so much a theme of Rectify, where one is falsely accused, but because he has done time in prison, his hometown refuses to believe his innocence. And as the caption says, I was sentenced to death, and now because I'm judged so harshly, I am condemned to live, one who knows the smell of the sheep. For those of us who have seen the film St. Vincent, Vincent McKenna, can you imagine him applying to work at a daycare agency or to applying to work as a babysitter? One who takes children to bars, to the racetrack, one who hardly emulates the model of middle childhood development. And yet young Oliver in the movie sees that Vincent reflects as a Vietnam veteran and as one who cares for an Alzheimer's wife, one who knows the smell of the sheep. And that powerful scene when at his school he gives Vincent as an example of a saint, and everyone is in tears because they can see the beauty of humble living. And many of you are here because of the great life of Monsignor John Sheridan, whom I did not know, but a pastor so loved that they made a documentary out of him because he knew the smell of the sheep. What a powerful image for us on this Good Shepherd Sunday. But I have to ask us a question. Do we feel comfortable with our own scent before God? Are we comfortable in our own skin? Or do we regularly, before we come to prayer, want to mask it in perfume or open the windows to air it out so God doesn't see who we really are? Do we who love this image, know the smell of the sheep, believe that God is comfortable with our smell? And can we be our full selves before God? That is the grace of this gospel. That is the gift of this message. And that is the hope we all wish to attain. When we were children, a story from my ethnic heritage, my mother came from Italy. And every Christmas, we had a dish on Christmas Eve called bacala. Many other cultures have this. And bacala is basically you take dry, salted codfish, you soak it in water for days, and you eventually prepare it into a meal. The days of soaking and draining the water reek. They reek of stale, salty fish. And really, that was the odor that perfumed our house before Christmas. It often competed with the live tree that we had and all the baking that my mother did. And we found out friends and cousins had to endure this. One Christmas Eve, we changed the lyrics of Deck the Halls, and we started singing, "Deck the halls with bowls of codfish, bucka-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Boy, it stinks and how we hate it, bucka-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. 'Tis the season to be smelly." My mother said, that's it, I'm never going to make it again. We all looked at her and said, "Mommy, no. My God, what would Christmas be if we didn't hate this smell?" It's almost as if that which was the most repulsive revealed that which was the most beautiful. And so often it is through our sin, through our failing, that God finds our true strength, our true beauty, and is our best shepherd. Let us live then this day in the hope of Jesus Christ, the Good Shepherd, who is good because he loves us for who we are. And let us take pride and joy in our own celebration in his resurrection.